Today, we're diving into a fascinating process that's happening inside you right now, osmosis.
You know the feeling, right? You finish a bag of crisps or some really salty chips, and bam, you're suddenly desperate for a drink of water. But why? What's actually going on inside your body to cause that?
Well, it turns out the answer isn't just about the salt on your tongue. It's about a powerful, invisible force that's constantly at work inside every single cell in your body. It's this quiet, microscopic balancing act. So to really get why you feel so thirsty, we need to zoom in and see it in action, right? Let's get into it.
First things first. Before we can even talk about osmosis, we have to talk about the real star of the show, water. It's so much more than just something to drink. It's basically the liquid that makes life possible.
I mean, just think about it. Roughly 75% of your cells are made of water. 3/4. It's the main ingredient. If that level dips even a little bit, your cells just can't function properly.
And its job description is massive. Water powers photosynthesis in plants. It's what our blood plasma uses to transport everything around. It pulls minerals up through a plant's roots, and it helps us get rid of nasty toxins. It's the ultimate multitasker.
Okay, so we've established water is absolutely crucial. But how does it know where to go? How does it move in and out of cells to do all those jobs? That, my friends, is where osmosis comes in. And it all boils down to a few simple rules.
Now here's the textbook definition. It sounds a bit complicated, I know. High water potential, partially permeable membrane, but don't worry. All this really means is that water moves from a place where it's less concentrated to a place where it's more concentrated. Let's break that down.
This diagram shows it perfectly. Just imagine you've got 2 glasses of squash. On the right, it's really weak, mostly water. We'd call that a high water potential. On the left, it's super strong and concentrated. That's low water potential. Well, water naturally wants to move from the weak side to the strong side to try and even things out. That's the core idea.
But here's the catch. Water can't just flow anywhere it wants. There's a barrier in the way. And this barrier is the second key piece of the osmosis puzzle.
Think of this barrier, the partially permeable membrane, as a bouncer at a very exclusive club. It has a strict door policy. The small, nimble water molecules, yep, they can get through. But the bigger molecules like salt or sugar, nope, they're not on the list. They have to stay outside.
So that's the whole secret. This picky, selective barrier is what makes osmosis work. And what's really wild is that every single one of the trillions of cells in your body is wrapped in one of these clever little gatekeepers.
Right, enough with the theory. How about we see this in action? Let's head over to the lab.
To demonstrate osmosis, we can use something called dialysis tubing. Now, it's not a living thing, but it behaves just like a cell membrane. It's partially permeable. It's the perfect stand-in.
So check out this experiment. We take our tubing, fill it with a starch solution, which has big molecules, and then we place it in a beaker of water that has some iodine in it. Now, iodine molecules are tiny, and here's the cool part. Iodine turns black or blue when it touches starch. So, any guesses what's going to happen?
And there we have it. The solution inside the tubing turns dark blue, but the water outside stays the same color. This is perfect proof. It shows that the tiny iodine molecules were small enough to get in through the membrane, but the big, clunky starch molecules were too large to get out. That's our selective barrier at work.
Okay, so osmosis is happening everywhere, in all living things. But here's where it gets really interesting. The effect of osmosis on a plant cell is actually very different from its effect on an animal cell. Let's take this radish, for example. If you put a slice in a dilute solution, mostly water, it actually gets heavier and firmer. That's water rushing into its cells. But if you put it in a concentrated, salty solution, it shrivels up and gets floppy as water is pulled out of its cells.
When a plant cell is full of water and pushing outwards, we say it's turgid. It's kind of like inflating a tire. That pressure inside, called turgor pressure, is what gives the plant its strength. It's literally what helps it stand up tall.
On the flip side, if a plant doesn't get enough water, its cells start to lose that pressure. They shrink, and the membrane pulls away from the cell wall. This is called plasmolysis, and it's the reason a plant wilts.
Now, what about animal cells, like our red blood cells? Well, the stakes are much higher. In a concentrated, salty solution, they shrivel up, just like the plant cells. But in a very dilute solution, like pure water, they swell up and keep swelling until they actually burst.
So why the dramatic difference? What's going on? It's all about one key structural feature, the cell wall. Plant cells have this tough, rigid wall around them. Animal cells don't.
That strong wall acts like a protective box, preventing the plant cell from ever bursting no matter how much water it takes in.
This table really sums it up nicely. In a dilute solution, a plant cell gets firm and strong, while an animal cell just bursts. In a concentrated solution, they both shrivel, and it all hinges on whether or not that cell wall is there.
So when you think about it, the very same force that helps a flower stand up straight towards the sun is a constant danger to our own cells. It's a delicate balancing act that our bodies have to manage every second of every day.
Which brings us right back to that salty snack. That powerful thirst you feel is your body's brilliant alarm system, screaming at you to drink water and get the balance right before your cells get into trouble. So the next time you feel thirsty, just take a moment to appreciate the incredible, invisible dance of osmosis going on inside you. Thanks for tuning in.